Catcher in the Rye. The first question is, so Holden in the book, he's always depressed. He calls everybody funny. He just walks around all sad and everything. Has depression played like a big part in your life? Or?
I was actually treated for depression. What was it? My sophomore year. Although looking back on it, I'm not sure it was like a clinical depression. But it was just definitely kind of it was the point when I was kind of coming into myself, so it was just an awkward, not necessarily an awkward stage, but just a tough stage. And I think remembering Catching the Rye, I think that was kind of what Holden was going through, not necessarily a depression, but just kind of coming into himself, and which is rough for everybody.
This is my English interview, and this is LJ Jones, and here we go. All right. Do you believe that our relationships with other students and teachers have any effect on how we react in certain situations?
I think it does. I think that, if we are friendly towards our friends and teachers in other situations, we can be friendly to new people that we meet. And if we get angry towards our friends and other teachers, then sometimes our emotions and anger can get in the way of seeing things.
Hi, I'm Jake Mimic, and I'm interviewing senior Connor McKay. So, Connor, how did The Catcher in the Rye affect your life?
I read it when I was a sophomore. It didn't really ever affect my life. It was an odd book, and it did entail a few things in my life. Things about depression, which everybody has a run-in with a death in the family, a friend moving away, a severe injury. Anything can roll through like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a safety thing. So, what do you have like a safety thing, or do you see people say things like adults have cars,
Right.
Something like that?
Yeah, like I was saying, I necessarily don't have like a safety object, but in times where I'm kind of flustered or what have you, I always just try and kind of come back to my breathing and just think and kind of be aware of the moment, and kind of stop reflecting on what I'm reflecting about.
Do you believe that at Regis Jesuit we need to be protected from bullying or anything of the sort?
I think there's too much bullying. I think a lot of people stick to their own, friends, and people don't really feel like they have to prove anything here, and they don't feel like they need to bully kids that are different from them.
Can you consider yourself holding on to childhood?
I can actually. I love being a kid. I wouldn't consider it holding on, but I'll be a kid for now, as long as I can be until the time comes not to be anymore.
Do you find yourself relating to Holden in the sense of being a kid?
No, not at all, actually. Holden always came off to me as a very depressed individual, just singular person who didn't have a lot of friends, was scared and shy, and now I always felt like I was able to make friends, have fun, find little things in life to enjoy.
What form of protections do adults use?
You talking about self-defense mechanisms?
Self-defense mechanisms.
Okay. I would say reclusion, what I mean by that is sometimes they keep the truth from you just because it's a better thing for you to know, to not understand the classic where the babies come from and they come up with the stork. It's just better for you not to know at that age, and they kind of protect you from protecting yourself when you ask those kind of questions. So.
All right, and then to kind of wrap up, so Holden loses a family member. He lost his brother in the very end. He took it really hard, punched out windows and everything. Have you ever lost a family member, been around somebody who's lost a family member?
Personally, I have not lost a family member. I haven't really lost anyone close to me other than grandparents. But I have been close to people who have lost close people, which is, I mean, it's really kind of unexplainable. There's nothing really like losing someone that you love, especially kind of in my case, as sudden as it was. And you know, like in Catching the Rye, that plays a kind of a major role in Holden's life. And I think, you know, anytime that there's kind of a sudden death or even just you know, a death of a loved one, I think that does play a major role in the life and kind of the continued life of.
Adults make excuses.
Adults make plenty of excuses. I've learned this from my dad and from my mom. If, like I said before, if they don't want you to know something, they're just going to give you some kind of answer, and because they're your parents, you'll probably believe them.
How do adults compensate for a flaw that they have in their life?
They usually entail into like one of the 7 sins. I feel like greed, sloth, etc. Is they kind of overdo what they feel they're lacking. You know, from Walsberg's class, the phallic stage. If somebody's got a huge truck, they're usually compensating for something that's a little bit smaller.